Hello?
Hello, Shana, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly fine. I think we're live.
Yes, we are live. Looks like yes.
Perfect. So I'm just gonna give a couple of minutes for students to join, and we will start very soon.
Very nice. Can we see the students somewhere?
No, but we can get their answers and their questions.
Ah, okay.
Hmm.
Do the questions pop up in our window?
Yeah,
Okay, then that is convenient.
let's give a couple more minutes, and we can start.
We see that there are 8 students watching us live.
Yes.
Mhm.
Hi everyone. Please be a little patient. Just waiting for more students to join, and we will get started.
I see some jump in numbers.
Hmm.
That's great.
Yes. One more minute, and we get started.
हाँ हेलो कहाँ पर है अभी हेलो
Okay, well, I think we're good to start. If there are any latecomers, we will make sure to give you the floor if you, in case you miss anything or have any questions. Ravi, are we good to go? Shall we start?
Definitely. Yes, we should start.
Perfect. Well, welcome everyone to this webinar by Africa Business School. I think you might recognize me. I am Shaima Sedji. We probably met in our QS fairs, either in Accra, Ghana, online, in Abuja, Nigeria, or in Nairobi face to face in Kenya. Very happy to have you here. I think I've been in touch through email with a couple of you, but very happy to just follow up on our very pleasant conversation and make sure that you're well informed about our programs and our admissions process. let me just walk you through the structure of this webinar. So we will be presenting two of our full-time programs, the ones we discussed face-to-face or in our online fair. With me is Dr. Ravi Prakash, who is the academic director of one of our programs, QFM. So we're very happy to have him here. I'm gonna initially give him the floor for him to explain to you and present the program. And then I will follow up with the MIM program, so the one in international management. If you have any questions, please make sure you're writing them in the chat. We will tackle all of your questions by the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for being here. And Ravi, all the floor is yours.
Thank you, Shima. Maybe you could share the QFM screen if you can. Shima, can you share the QFM screen? Let me do that. Give us a minute. We are just sharing. I'm trying to do that. There is some issue with screen sharing. Let's and do you all see my screen? How do I confirm that? I hope you all see my screen. So before I talk about the program, first of all, I would like to thank you all for joining this webinar. I'm sure you had very nice interactions with Saima when she visited you in person a few weeks back. So to motivate the idea, why do we have a master's program in quantitative and financial modeling? Let's start with some examples. I'm sure you might have heard about platforms like Airbnb, Uber, companies like Google, Amazon, and so on. They use a heavy data-driven approach for their decision making and a business model. Let's talk about Airbnb. What it does is it allows people to share their homes when guests come to visit them, and they can get paid on their behalf. And they have several million homes listed on their platform, right? Google uses data driven and analytical approach for so many things, particularly for their business model on advertising. Let's say um, when you try to put a search query in Google, you see a few ads. Now these ads are filtered by Google because there are so many ads that people put their bid on, and they have a scoring mechanism on ad relevance and so on, which they use different kinds of models, and from there they select, let's say, 3 ads or 4 ads, and they display them there. Amazon uses recommender systems, where when you buy a product, They collect data from you and they do a customer profiling from there. And finally, they start recommending, like, customers who bought this product also bought this product. And there are plenty of examples like this. For example, an investor could be interested in constructing his or her own portfolio, and for that, he or she would select n number of stocks. So they would want to maximize the returns given the certain level of risk, which is the variance or the volatility of stocks. Now, all these different scenarios that we see requires some sort of understanding of, let's say, probability theory, optimization, data science, some sort of computational techniques, and so on. And as we are in a internet-driven, data-driven world, almost all companies are using analytical tools for their competitive advantage. If they don't use that, they will be behind in this race. So, as a business school of Africa Business School, a part of UM6P, we definitely understand this need, specifically a strong need in Africa. And we designed this program to address this challenge, where we want to imbibe students certain set of skills around quantitative modeling, skills around statistical concepts, skills around, let's say, coding, programming, applied to business, a skill around understanding of financial markets, um, and so on. And also build a responsible leadership mindset. When they study this program, we want them to be ethically responsible, adding value to the society in Africa and beyond. So, considering this perspective, we started this masters last year. So right now the first QFM batch is running. um, to exactly what I mentioned, to give them these skills and produce graduates with responsible leadership mindsets. Now, going into a bit of details about the program, this is a 2-year program, fully in person. We are ideally targeting students with, let's say, a bachelor's degree, or I'm having a license, but they have a strong understanding of quantitative methods, which means they understand mathematics, they can calculate, they can understand, let's say, real analysis, they can understand linear algebra, and so on. They have basic understanding of computation. This means they've done a bit of computing, programming earlier. The primary language of the program is in English. We have some exceptions where we definitely offer some modules in French, but and we have language communication courses as well. Right now, as UM6P is a multi-campus in the country, we have two main campuses, one in Ben Gurion and other one is Rabat in Technopolis. And in the current version, the program is running at both places. The semester 1 is running in Ben Gurion, and semester 2 and 3, uh, uh, it comes to Rabat. The program is again fully accredited by Moroccan Ministry of Higher Education. Let's go a little bit deeper into what courses students have to take over, let's say, three semesters. So the idea is, when we bring students, I will talk about a bit on admissions process very soon. But when we select the students, in the beginning, we want to be together first. This would develop interpersonal communication, group skills as well. And in the meanwhile, they develop their understanding of the foundational courses that they need to take later on, and a specialization. As you will see, we have three specializations here. So in the first semester, we start with some advanced Python programming. As I mentioned, we do expect students to have some level of understanding of programming. In case they lack something, we have preparatory sessions in the beginning of the program, so that they can catch up. Then we offer advanced statistical methods for modeling and finance. We introduce optimization, operations research, stochastic modeling, and finally a course on project management with a strong focus on innovation. Now, once the students successfully finished all these courses, we give them a choice to select their majors. Now, this program gives students to choose three majors. One is quantitative modeling, the second is financial engineering, the third one is data engineering. Now, quantitative modeling can be used in any sphere of industry. For example, let's say it can be used for inventory modeling, which is when a manufacturing firm decides how much to order. It's not an easy problem to solve, and such phenomena can be used. It can be used in financial industry, and that's why we have financial engineering specialization, where we focus specifically on key aspects where there's a strong need in Morocco and Africa. We talk to several banks in the country. They present there's several challenges that they face. It could be problems related to regulations, foreign exchange. It could be uh, about financial inclusion, fintech, and so on. So we try to put in these specific modules in the financial engineering specialization. Finally, the third one is core data engineering, which is coming more from a computer science background. And in fact, the program is running as a joint program between two schools within UM6P, which is Africa Business School and Al Khwarizmi Center for Computer Science. So we have a highly expertise, highly talented computer scientist in house who offer advanced algorithms courses, which can help them take state of art algorithm problems at any of the tech organizations they would envision to work in future. Now, once they finish semester one, they choose their specialization, and depending on the specialization, they have some specific courses. They will still have some common courses, but then they enter into the specialization. For example, in financial engineering specialization, they would first time try to understand, do a course on financial market, accounting, corporate and sustainable finance, and so on. Whereas a student in data engineering will do courses in native AI and machine learning, maybe advanced numerical linear algebra and parallel computing, and so on. And finally, in the third semester, they have again a series of highly specialized courses depending on the stream that they have chosen. For example, in quantitative modeling, there would be in-depth courses in computational physics, biology, which could be more core science focused. While in financial engineering, there could be a course on asset liability management, portfolio management, introductory course on actuarial science, and so on, so that students develop enough skills to make themselves industry relevant. Same goes with engineering specialization as well, where we talk about advanced methods, modules. For example, you see there we have modules on high dimensional approximation, game theory, the graph theory, and so on, reinforcement learning as well. We have enough space for let's say if a student wants to do a specific project where their interest lies, and maybe they have already found a company where they are willing to work, so that they can choose a project as a course, and they can work with a professor in-house or a mentor from the industry. And so we have introduced these projects across different specialization in three streams in semester 3. Finally, in semester 4, they go out and do their actual internships with the firms. The idea is to make them work on a real life problem which companies face, which firms face. As you would see, this is not a core math program or a core computer science program. Rather, this is applied program where we want to produce highly skilled graduates who would be relevant in all sectors and all organizational functions that we have, be it marketing, be it finance, be it, let's say, strategy, and so on. They can work in on this analytics interface of these organizations. So we want to be highly industry relevant, and we want to have a diversity in the cohort, not only in terms of gender, but in terms of geographies and so on, across sectors with different interests. And the students were willing to solve challenges in Morocco and Africa, um, say 5 years or a decade term plan. Um, Now, I think I can talk a bit more about the selection process. I would say we have a very strong selection process where we first filter the student based on their, let's say, academic credentials that they have submitted in the admission portal, and from that first initial screening, they enter into a first sort of a quant and a language test, which happens on campus. We invite them if they are shortlisted. We invite them on campus. They can see the campus. They can stay there because it is normally a 2 day process. And once they qualify this first prelim round, we have a main quant exam, which is over 3 to 4 hours. They are supposed to work on quantitative problems from, let's say, mathematics, statistics, probability, a bit on programming, and so on. They get enough time to show their creativity from the problems that they have. The idea is not only just the math skills, but to understand the critical thinking skills that they have, which will help them a lot in grasping the content that we want to offer. Now, once they go through the quant test, the next day, all the students who take the quant test, next day they are invited for a group discussion, which is we give them a topic. They get 30 to 45 minutes time. They're in a group of 3 to 4 students, and they are supposed to brainstorm on the topic, put up their ideas, and present. We have jury members who are observing them, and maybe from the discussions they can talk about how to take these ideas into actions and so on. And we observe their not only communication skills, but a bit of how they work in a peer-to-peer interaction setup. Now, then after this group discussion phase, they enter into an individual interview phase, where we talk a bit about their motivation, and then a bit about their technical skills as well. Now we combine all the scores from their what they have submitted, score of language test, score of main quant test, and group discussion and individual interviews to prepare a final shortlist. So as you would notice, this is a quite a strong admission criteria. But to ensure the quality of the graduates that we want to produce in Morocco and in Africa, and to solve the challenge that we face upfront, we need such skills. So we do want to be selective, maybe at the top of a top program in next 5 years in Africa. Our positioning is like that, and hence the selection process is a very rigorous. Now I will hand over the floor to Saima. She can talk a bit more on admissions, calendar, timelines, and so on. And I am open to any questions that you have. Feel free to put your thoughts, even if you are not thinking of a data-driven career. You can still ask some questions, and maybe you might find some interesting insights that might help you to make your career decision.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ravi. I just want to make sure you can hear me well.
Yeah, I can
And
hear you very well.
perfect. So that was our first program, QFM. I think you already have some sort of idea about it. We shared our brochures, and you can also check our website if you would like more info. You can also reach out to our admissions officers in case you have supplemental questions after this webinar. But for now, feel free to put them on the chat box. We will tackle them later on. Before jumping into the admissions process, just because it's a common timeline for both our programs, let me introduce to you first our second master's degree. So that's the Master's in International Management. I will be sharing my screen in a second so that you can see the brochure that we already shared with you and that you can have access to in our website. So the Masters in International Management has the same shape as the QFM. So it's a 2 years degree that is accredited by the Ministry of Higher Education here in Morocco and is recognized by the state. This program was initially conceived to really train students, young African future managers, to be able to thrive in a digital, disruptive, and multicultural environment. So we live in a very fast-growing environment, and our continent is developing as well very fastly. So the main intent, the main core objectives of the program is be able to try to train young students, future managers, to be able to assess in the future these kind of changes and make sure the fluidity of the learning curve is assured throughout the process. The three main objectives that I would mention as well, that would be how this program is problem solving oriented. So there's a lot of action learning involved. There are, of course, face-to-face lectures with your faculty members, etc. But we expect students to be active. We expect students to take initiative as the future managers that they are. The second main core objective as well is to be able to be African context oriented. Now, with that meaning, with any module that you will be taking, you will have a project that is, Africa oriented, case studies that are Africa oriented, and the main core, let's say, meaning behind those actions is to be able to have a continuity in your learning workflow throughout the program. So at the end, you have an expertise in the continent from different approaches, from different points of views. So that's for the program description in general, but that's the idea behind the conception of this program. For learning outcomes, you can see them on the screen displayed, and you can find them in our website as well. We really intend for students to be able to identify managerial issues or matters, problems in the real world, and then follow up and be able to have relevant frameworks to analyze them. With that being said, that will lead this student to be able to develop and implement solutions that are pragmatic and that are both aligned with core ethics of the field and the African context. So being able to focus, reflect, and develop those pragmatic solutions that can be adapted to the African continent. Third, that will be develop multidisciplinary and functional business knowledge. And you will see, we will display the curriculum and how it is designed. But the main intent of it is to have students learn about several things within the managerial field, so that you're able to provide a large multidisciplinary knowledge in the future career path that you will take. Finally, leadership is very important in this field. As its main name mentions, it's a managerial field. It's a management master. So we expect students to learn how to lead teams in the future, to learn how to collaborate in a cross-cultural and environment, as well as how to effectively communicate with those teams and with that environment. With that being said, all those learning outcomes are really aligned with the modules that you will be taught and the objectives of those modules. Okay, so following up on those learning outcomes, and as I mentioned, here you have the course plan. So as I mentioned, this is a 2 years program in which 3 semesters are face-to-face academic teaching. So you will be in class, in lecture, with your classmates and with our international faculty. And this program, this courses, is kind of designed in a way that each semester leads you to the following one. So first semester is a foundational module semester in which you really get to grasp, let's say, the foundations of basic knowledge for this field. So starting from international trade, going through analyzing data, so being able to make meaning from raw data and then being able to apply it in decision making, starting with leadership and being able to contextualize it in the international environment, business economics, again contextualized from an international approach, and finally megatrends in the African context. So we're starting to learn about what is trending in the continent and what issues and matters can we tackle. And finally, a course in English, which is basically dedicated to develop your speech, your public public communication, etc. So as I mentioned previously, everything is aligned with being able to communicate effectively, to lead in an ethical way, while analyzing the issues and the managerial matters that now are trendy in the African context. Second semester, functional level module. So as you can see, this goes a little bit more in depth into the subject. It's a bit more detailed. So with the knowledge that we acquire in the first semester, we're able to move forward into a more functional academic teaching level. So we have international strategy, for instance, which involves being able to analyze data, being able to have a background knowledge in business economics and everything that we studied in the first semester. Following up with global supply chains and operations, again, international finance and management control. So again, being more in detail, more on the field to grasp more in detail about the specificalities of these. Then corporate social responsibility and ethics, aligning with being able to be a manager that takes decisions in an ethic manner, that makes judgments for problems that exist in the real world in a responsible and ethical way. International marketing, of course, is an essential functional module. And finally, a second English class in which you develop what you studied in the first semester. So let's say we started with being able to pitch your ideas, with public speaking. We will learn as well about how to network, how to grasp opportunities, how to be able to communicate in the professional world, etc. Third semester, getting a bit more specialized, getting more into the field. We have digitally enabled business models, being able to manage high impact projects. And the really important thing about the third semester is that with the background knowledge that you have from the previous 2 semesters, you're able to develop more, let's say, action learning projects. For example, for international entrepreneurship, with the respective professor, you're able to develop projects that are close to your heart, close to a cause that you believe in, something that you've learned in the previous semester that you would like to dig a little bit more into from an entrepreneurial mindset. Then you will have international negotiation and cross-cultural management, trade, property rights, taxation, and wrapping it up with a final English module in which you go over your abilities to communicate effectively, to leader, to be able to have business writing, etc., as your main door to jump into the fourth semester, which is the internship one. So first semester is dedicated to a 6 months internship in which the school, in companion with the Career Center at UN6P, helps you find an appropriate internship program for those 6 months. At the end of it, we will expect you to present a project and give us your feedback about what you learned, etc. So this is overall the structure of the master's. To keep in mind, 3 semesters of academic teaching, so I'm in class face-to-face with faculty, and then 4th semester for internship. These are some of our selected faculty members. As you can see, it's pretty international. We have a lot of guest speakers as well that add up to the curriculum. So within your daily classes, you will be in touch, of course, with your professors, and you will also have guest speakers for each module, for each field, coming to you from all over the world and talking about specific matters, specific case studies relevant to your studies. Shedding light a little bit more onto the school's pedagogy. So as mentioned, we are driven by real life case studies and about multidisciplinary fields of study. So you will be really in on-site working with professors and with your colleagues in developing your experience, not just academically, but also personally, to be able to be built as a manager for the future. And obviously all focused in the continent of Africa. So for the selection process, the steps are similar to the ones for QFM, but the nature of those steps is different. So we will receive your application and then go through an application review screening for the first round. Once we validate all the documents submitted and we see that the criteria are met successfully, we will get back to you for your date of the entry exam. So the first exam is a written exam that is normally done online for the MIM through a platform, and it assesses different skills from cognitive skills to problem solving to decision making, with a case study at the end in which we get to learn more about your critical thinking, about your methodology of thinking, etc. After that, and once we receive your scores, we will invite you to your oral interview. The oral interview is let's say formal but also informal face-to-face or online interview in which the jury, the academic directors, and faculty members from the program get to know you a little bit more. So we want to learn about your motivations, what kind of manager you want to be in the future, what drove you to this field, as well as being able to assess if you're suitable for the program. So those are the three main steps. Let me tell you now about the timeline that is both for QFM and MIM. So this timeline is pretty easy to remember. The first thing to keep in mind is that the deadline to apply to both programs is March 31st. So you have from now till March 31st to be able to go through our social media or our website and get the link to apply. This will take you to a very easy form to fill out in which you have to put in your details, make sure you're submitting everything that is asked from you. And once we receive your form, our admissions officers will get back to you to give you more information about the following steps. Normally, as mentioned, once your file is received and it goes through the first round of screening, and we see that you are a good fit to be able to do the written test, which is the first step of the official admission process, we will get back to you with the full information about when is the test taking place, how is it taking place, and what we expect from you to submit or when we expect you to show up. So first written test, then we will send you also the information about the interviews. If you succeed the written test for QFM, then you have automatic, you pass to the oral interview. For MIM, both are complementary. So all students go through the written test and the oral interview. So these are the major headlines to keep in mind. Normally, we have final results, final list of students by the end, by mid-June, end of June. Once your written test and oral test is done, normally it takes us about 1.5 to 2 weeks to finalize the third screening and be able to release the final list. What happens once we reach out to you and we inform you that you have successfully been admitted to the program? That's when you are able to accept our offer and then be able to apply to scholarships if you're interested in. As mentioned previously, I think in our fairs, and we've exchanged a couple of emails as well with most of you, there are two kinds of scholarships at our university at UM6B. Those are the Scholarship of Excellency, which is based on merits. And this is referring and concerning your admissions test. So depending on the score that you get on your admission test, the combination of the written and the oral, if you're on first or second place, depending on the total amount of students that have been admitted, you can be awarded a Scholarship of Excellency. This Scholarship of Excellency covers just the tuition fees of the program. So housing and restoration will be at your expense. The second kind of scholarship is the scholarship depending on financial and family means. This scholarship is open for application for all students and has strict regulations to follow up. Once you admit our offer and you accept it and you express your interest in applying for this kind of scholarship, we will send you the list of documents that you should be preparing. We will send and help you set up the platform in which you can submit your request for scholarship. It's pretty straightforward and we can assist you throughout the whole process. This scholarship, based on family and financial needs or means, covers all the expenses for your student life on campus. With that being said, so your tuition is covered for the program, your housing is covered as well, and you will receive a monthly allowance to be able to cover your other needs. So the difference between these two, just to keep them in mind. So once is awarded, the excellence one by the department, by the school, and the second one is open for application. Once the student has applied to the scholarship, this takes about 3 to 4 weeks to be able to submit the final results, and scholarships are available in a ratio from 0 to 100%. So we have students in class that have 100% scholarship, which means they don't need to pay any kind of fees. Others that receive 50, 60, 70, or 80, depending on the justification that you will be submitting while applying for this scholarship. Finally, these programs, as mentioned previously, so for QFM, the first semester takes place in our campus in Ben Gvir, and then the second semester and the third semester take place in Rabat, so our second campus. For MIM, all semesters take place in UM6P Technopolis Rabat, and for both campuses, housing is available for students. So if either you're a scholarship student and that the housing is awarded to you through that system, or you are a student that is able to pay for his or her own tuition, you can also apply for housing on campus and take charge of that in your own expenses. So finally, to wrap up, just a reminder on the timeline. So applications for both programs are open from now till March 31st. Make sure you're logging into the platform through the website or through our social media. If there is any issue, please take a look at the brochure. You will find a contact at the end of every brochure with an email with a phone number to which you can connect, to which you can reach out to in order to have a little bit more of assistance regarding that. Once we arrive to March 31st and our application cycle is closed, we will make sure to get back at you with more information about whether or not the first screening has been successfully passed and about when your written and oral exam will happen. So I think for now we covered pretty much all regarding both programs, where I have to say we're very happy to have you here. We were excited to meet you. And if you have any questions, please just drop them on the chat box and we will tackle them one at a time. Okay, let's see. Here we have some questions. Yes, so both programs are taught in English. So QFM and MIM are both English taught programs. That is correct. And with that being said, what we can mention as well, and I think Ravi already mentioned it, is for both programs within the admission process, at the end, after the oral interview, there's an English test that you're able to pass in order to see if your level is suitable to the program. If you have a diploma already or a certificate of language, a TOEFL and IELTS, you're able to submit it within your file, and feel free to do so that we're able to see it, and that might waive your English test. Okay, let's see if we have more questions. I see a question about student life. Yes. Okay. So both campuses in Ben Gvir and in Rabat, you have student organizations that are going on throughout the whole year. And as Africa Business School, we're very happy and we get very excited when we hear about new initiatives from students. So if you have something in mind, if there's something you would like to develop, there's a process actually to follow. Let me explain to you how would that work. There's a centralized department for activities in our campus in Ben Gvir, and each department is related to that centralized one. So when we have students that have, let's say, an idea, something they would like to develop, we internally assess it and we create a proposal that is submitted to that entity. And it's basically just to have their support to make sure that it's aligned with our school vision, with our school goals. And once it is accepted by the centralized department, we're free to have students start this organization and these clubs. Just a matter of fact, for MIM first cohort that is currently taking place, we have a consulting club that had just started, and they will be in contact with several companies. We will be creating networking sessions, mock interviews, etc., just to prepare them for the professional world, as well as have some kind of feedback from companies regarding workshops or being able to include them as in internships in the future, etc. So yeah, student life very active in both campuses, and also very happy to hear any initiative that you might have. Let me see more questions. Okay, so regarding students that are coming from abroad, so we have a system put in place to help with everything that is set up for the visa, which is a very important matter to discuss, I think, especially in this context. For all of you, if any student gets admitted to the program, so once we have you have accepted our offer, we have applied to the scholarship was successfully awarded. The program officer of each program, which in this case might be me as well, we will be assessing you through the visa application. So how it works is we will release a letter of acceptance from our side, and release also a certificate of scholarship, if you have it, as a financial means of justification for your application to the visa. Then we will be in contact with your local Moroccan embassy. We will help you find it. And then once you get there and you receive normally a form that is requested to be filled out by the embassy, we will go over that form, that application, and help you with filling it out. Then we submit the documents that I have mentioned previously. So a scholarship certificate, and of course the letter of admissions, and also a school certificate that proves that you will be enrolled in the program. With those three, should be relatively easy to get your visa. And once you arrive here, there's a person also that assesses you through the process of switching from visa to residency card, which is an essential one, because you're going to be a student for a long term. So the program goes for 2 years. And once you arrive, we will make sure that everything is in order, that your administrative as well as your academic paperwork are in accordance with the system. Timeline. Okay, so when is the semester starting? So a good question. Once we wrap up your admissions process, and as I mentioned, we go through visa, scholarships, etc., and we have we receive your visa, so we know when you're traveling to Morocco. We will of course send you the class plan before, and we will try to make our best for you to get here once we have our orientation days. So normally the semester, so there's a fall semester, there's a spring semester, and then we go through the summer. Fall semester starts usually around the first week of October and ends around the first week, second week of January. So that's your first semester. Within each semester, there's a mid-semester break. So you will go from October to January and have a mid-semester break, and then pick up your second semester classes in February, and that goes till May, of course, with a mid-semester break. So to keep in mind is first semester starts in October and ends in mid-January, then we pick it up in February and it goes till May. In the first year, in the summer, the 3 months, 2 months and a half that you will have as a vacation, we strongly recommend to get an internship. And throughout your first and second semester, we will be assessing you and helping you get that. So you will have several scholarships. You will have several people coming to you work for workshops. We will try to assess there's a kind of a scholarship system for an internship abroad, etc. So first year, first semester and second semester academic teaching, we try to have also an internship in the summer. Do you accept standardized tests like the GMAT or GRE? Yes. So what we do is we haven't had this case before, but as I mentioned, like the TOEFL and the IELTS, if you have a standardized test that you would like to submit, we are happy to accept it. You attach it to your file, and it goes through the first screening, and then we get back to you regarding if there is any test that might be waived for you. So it depends on any very special case, but please do so. What else do we have here? I see questions about scholarships. I think we've tackled a bunch of them. So scholarships, as mentioned, there's one of excellency, and the second one is the one depending on financial and family needs. So the second one covers tuition, which means your academics. It covers also your enrollment fees, and also the housing and the monthly allowance, and that will be submitted to you. So when you arrive to campus, you will find a dorm for you, of course, under your name. And depending on your scholarship, if it's 100% scholarship, then there is no cost for you to cover. If you have an 1890, our financial department will make sure to communicate to you the exact amount that is expected from you to be paid. But the scholarship that is 100%, let's say, covers it all. So housing is covered, and then you will receive an ID card, for student ID card, in which is that is used for access to campus to prove that you study here, and that also can help you with your card residency application. That is also used as a bank card, so as a credit card. Your monthly allowance will be transferred to you. That amount will be transferred to you on that student ID card, and you can use it in both our campuses, so in Rabat and Bengri, for all the for the restaurants, for the shops, etc. Is there a fee to pay for the admissions test? No. So admissions tests are free. There's no fee to pay just to apply to the program. You go through our website, fill out the form, and once you pass the screening, you will be automatically affected to the written test and the oral interview. So no fee there. Perfect. I think we've covered the standardized tests. MIM, yeah. So for selection criteria, sorry, I think we've missed this one for MIM, and I see a couple of questions regarding that. So for MIM, it is open to all backgrounds. So you need to hold a bachelor's or a licence, so that's 3 years in Moroccan system, or a bachelor's degree of 4 years in any field. And it's open to any field. So once you submit your application, we just have to make sure that you're able to pass the first written test and the interview. QFM is different. I think Ravi already mentioned, so it's a bit more technical. So if you can tell us just a little bit more about the kind of backgrounds that will be suitable for the program. We cannot hear you. Sorry.
Hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emma. So, as I mentioned during the earlier in the webinar, we are expecting people with quant background. This means they should have the first level, undergraduate level understanding of some subjects like real analysis, linear algebra, basic programming skills, a bit on statistics and probability. The reason is it's a master's program, and we immediately start with advanced courses. And this is what we also test in that we put as a part of selection process. The main quant exam tests all of that. So if they don't have that, they will find the courses very challenging, and all subsequently their internships and let's say career path in quant will be difficult. So we want to ensure that we bring those students with certain level of skills so that they can excel in the program.
Exactly. So that's what we were mentioning it. QFM is a bit more technical, and since we jump into a very advanced courses straight ahead, it's important to have that background. For MIM, it's open to all fields, but again, our admission test is really designed in order to be able to see if the student is ready to tackle the kind of skills and abilities that are offered in the modules. You can apply it through both our website and our social media. I think we've covered almost all questions. If you have anything else, please just let them on the question box. We're happy to tackle them. If you have any questions regarding, because I see a couple of them regarding, if you can have a bit more of advice on the kind of background, I would suggest to be in close contact with our admissions officers who are in close contact with our academic directors. So if there is any question that pops up in the future or while you're applying, we're really here to hear you and to assist. So just make sure you're not shy, that you are setting up your questions and whatever clarity you're missing. We're here to help you out. Good. Well, if there are any questions left, no, I think we've answered all of them. Ravi, anything else you would like to add?
Maybe to the last question that you mentioned, Shaima, I think for QFM, if you have engineering background with a strong math component, for example, computer science, electrical engineering, and so on, or you have a degree in mathematics, statistics, or even computer science, which had enough quant component in their courses. So if you think you have that, feel free to apply for the program. And if you have any questions, as Sarma mentioned, feel free to reach out to us, and we will clearly definitely answer that to you and clarify any content related questions that you have.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ravi. Just as a closing thought, to repeat that it was an absolute pleasure to meet you all, that we're really excited to have you here on campus, to have you discover our facilities, to have you join the students that are already here. So please start with your application so that you're at least aware of what we expect from you, the papers you need, the kind of thing that you should be getting ready, and hopefully we'll get to see you soon. Thank you very much for being here.
Exactly. Same thoughts, Saima. Also, it's great to see students are inquisitive. They're putting so many questions. We look forward to receiving their applications, and to all the students, we are with you. We are with you in this entire journey, not just after the program the starts, but before that. So feel free to reach out to us for any questions in the process. So, and thank you so much for joining this webinar.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon.
Bye bye.